Emma Carter was a quiet girl who loved books more than anything. While other kids were out playing or going to parties, Emma stayed inside reading stories about heroes, scientists, and faraway lands. She was born into a rich home. Her father was a businessman, and her mother owned a fashion company. They had everything: cars, a big house, money, and workers. But their house was not filled with love. It was filled with arguments. Every day, Emma heard shouting from her parents' bedroom. She often hid behind her door with her teddy bear, listening as her father slammed the door and her mother cried. By the time Emma was 8 years old, her parents had divorced. Her father moved to another city. Her mother became too busy with work. So Emma went to live with her grandmother, Mama Rose, in the countryside. Mama Rose's house was small but warm. There was no noise there, only peace. She always told Emma, "My child, your mind is your greatest treasure. Read, learn, and grow. One day you'll shine." Emma listened. Every night she studied under the dim light of a kerosene lamp. She became the best in her class, winning awards and making her grandma proud. When she turned 18, she got admission into Royal Crest College, one of the best schools in the city. Her grandma hugged her tightly and said, "Be focused, my dear. City life can be loud. Don't lose yourself in it." Emma promised she wouldn't. Royal Crest College was big, fancy, and full of life. The students there wore designer clothes, drove cars, and spent money like water. But one person stood above everyone else: Ryan Blake. Ryan was the most popular boy in school. He was tall, handsome, and rich. His father owned companies, and his mother was a famous actress. Ryan had everything: fame, looks, brains, and money. But he was also proud, arrogant, and careless. He had many girlfriends, and every girl in school wanted him. He was known as the King of Royal Crest. Teachers liked him because he was smart. Students followed him because he was powerful. But inside, Ryan felt empty. He smiled a lot in public, but deep down, he was tired of pretending. He didn't know what it meant to be loved truly, not for his name, but for his heart. Emma's first day in college was quiet. She wore a plain blue gown, carried her books, and walked straight to class. She didn't talk to anyone. She didn't have fancy clothes or makeup. She only wanted to learn. But that day, she met Ryan Blake. He was sitting on his car bonnet, surrounded by girls, laughing loudly. As Emma walked past, one of the girls whispered, "Who's that?" "She looks so boring," Ryan chuckled. "Probably one of those nerds who live in the library." Emma ignored him and kept walking. That was the first time someone ever ignored Ryan, and it stung his pride. A week later, Emma was in the library reading. It was her favorite place, quiet and full of books. Ryan and his friends walked in, joking around. They were loud, disturbing everyone. One of them threw a paper ball that hit Emma's head. She calmly picked it up, threw it into the trash, and kept reading. They laughed again, and this time Ryan spoke. "Hey, bookworm, don't you ever get tired of reading?" Emma looked up, annoyed. She said softly, "Don't you ever get tired of being noisy?" The whole library went silent. Ryan's friends stared at her in shock. No one ever talked to Ryan that way. Ryan smiled, pretending not to care. But inside he was furious. He said to himself, "Let's see how long this nerd can ignore me." From that day, Ryan made it his mission to disturb Emma. He sat next to her in class. He made jokes about her glasses. He told his friends she was secretly in love with him. But Emma didn't react. She stayed calm, read her books, and ignored him completely. The more she ignored him, the more curious he became. He wanted to know why she didn't like him. Every other girl wanted his attention, but this one didn't care. It started as a game. but it slowly became an obsession. One morning, their lecturer, Professor Harley, announced a big project. Students were to work in pairs. Everyone prayed to get a good partner. When the list was read, Ryan's name was paired with Emma Carter. The class gasped. Emma looked shocked. Ryan grinned. "This is going to be fun," he said. Emma groaned quietly. "Why me?" They had to meet in the library every day after class. At first, Ryan didn't take it seriously. He spent time talking on his phone and teasing Emma. But Emma did all the work. When he saw how organized her notes were, how sharp her ideas were, he started to pay attention. She was smart, even smarter than him. One evening, they had to stay late to finish the project. The power went out, and the library became dark. Emma used her phone's flashlight. They sat together in the quiet. For the first time, Ryan didn't make jokes. He asked, "Why do you always read so much?" Emma smiled faintly. "Because when you have no one to talk to, books become your friends." Ryan was silent. Then she asked, "Why do you always act like you don't care about anything?" He sighed. "Because when you have everything, you start to feel like nothing matters." That night, they talked like friends. It was the first time Ryan saw Emma's soft side, and the first time Emma saw Ryan's pain. After that night, Ryan began to change. He stopped teasing her. He started helping with the project. He began waiting for her after class. Emma noticed that she tried to ignore it. She told herself, "Don't fall for him. He's trouble." But she couldn't deny it. She was starting to like him. And Ryan was falling harder every day. He would stare at her when she wasn't looking. He loved how she smiled, how she spoke politely, how she never pretended. For the first time, Ryan was scared of real feelings. Soon, the whole school started talking. "Ryan is dating the nerd." "No way! He's just playing with her." Some of Ryan's ex-girlfriends became jealous. One day, during lunch, they poured orange juice on Emma's clothes and laughed. Emma stood there quietly, embarrassed. But before she could say anything, Ryan stood up from his table. He shouted, "Apologize to her. Right now." Everyone froze. No one had ever seen Ryan defend anyone before. The girls ran away, scared. Emma looked at him, surprised. He said softly, "I'm sorry." "You don't deserve that." That was the day she realized he truly cared. But happiness didn't last long. A few days later, a rumor spread across campus that Ryan had made a bet with his friends to make Emma fall in love with him. When Emma heard it, her heart broke. She confronted him. "Is it true, Ryan? Was this all a game?" Ryan was shocked. "No. Who told you that?" She didn't wait for an answer. She ran away crying. Ryan tried to explain, but she blocked his number. He felt lost for the first time in his life. Ryan found out who started the rumor. One of his jealous ex-girlfriends, Tina. He confronted her in the cafeteria, shouting, "Do you know what you've done? You hurt someone I truly care about." The whole school watched as he exposed Tina's lies. Then he went to Emma's house to beg her grandmother. "Please, Mama Rose," he said. "I just want a chance to make things right." Mama Rose looked at him and said, "If you really love her, prove it. Don't just say it." Ryan changed completely. He stopped partying. He focused on his studies. He started helping younger students in class. He even joined the library team, the same one he once made fun of. Everyone was shocked. When Emma heard about it, she couldn't believe it. Slowly, she started talking to him again. They became friends once more. And this time, their friendship turned into something deeper, real love. After the last school event, everyone began to notice the new Ryan. He didn't go to parties anymore. He stopped showing off. He now spent most of his time in the library, reading and helping other students. The teachers were proud of him. The boys in school were confused. And the girls who used to follow him around didn't understand why he had changed. But Emma knew the truth. She was the reason. Ryan had seen how pure and different she was, and it made him think about his life. He realized that he didn't want to be known as just the bad boy anymore. He wanted to be better. He wanted to be someone Emma could be proud of. One day, Emma's phone rang. It was her mother. Her mum sounded emotional. "Emma," she said softly, "can we talk? Your dad and I. We've been seeing each other again. We're trying to fix things." Emma was shocked. She didn't know what to say. For years, her parents had lived apart, always arguing, never agreeing on anything. But now, they wanted to fix the family. Tears rolled down her face as she listened. Her mom continued, "We've both realized how much we hurt you. We're sorry, Emma. We want to be a family again." After the call, Emma cried, but they were happy tears. For the first time in many years, she felt peace. Her family was coming back together. A few weeks later, her parents came to visit the campus. They met with her grandmother too, and it was such a beautiful moment. Everyone hugged and laughed. Her dad said, "We want you to move back home after graduation. We'll all live together again." Emma's heart was full. Her grandma smiled and said, "You see, my dear? God answers in his own time." Not long after, Ryan found out something that completely shocked him. One afternoon, during a college fundraising event, the school announced that one of their biggest donors was Emma's father, Mr. Thompson. Ryan's eyes widened. He looked at Emma sitting quietly in the crowd. "Wait, Emma? The same Emma who wore plain clothes and always sat at the back of class. She's from a rich family." He couldn't believe it. That night, he called her. "Emma," he said, "you didn't tell me." That night, Ryan called Emma. "Emma," he said, still shocked, "you didn't tell me you're rich." Emma laughed lightly. "I didn't think it mattered. I wanted people to like me for who I am, not for my family's money." Ryan paused for a while, still surprised. He had always thought she was just an ordinary girl who read too much. Now he saw she was actually from one of the richest families in town, just like him. "Wow," he said finally. "You really are full of surprises." Emma smiled. "And you? You've changed so much, Ryan. Everyone is talking about it." He chuckled. "Yeah, well, I guess some people are worth changing for." Emma blushed but said nothing. The next week at school, Emma started dressing differently. She didn't hide behind baggy sweaters anymore. She wore simple but beautiful clothes. Her hair was always neat. Her glasses sat perfectly on her face, and for the first time, people saw how truly beautiful she was. When she walked into class, everyone turned to look. Even the girls who used to laugh at her whispered among themselves, "Is that Emma? She looks so different. She's actually pretty." Ryan couldn't take his eyes off her either. He realized he had fallen for her, not because of how she looked now, but because of who she had always been. But trouble soon started again. One of Ryan's old girlfriends, Vanessa, didn't like how close he and Emma had become. Vanessa was popular, loud, and always wanted attention. She had dated Ryan before and didn't like losing the spotlight. One afternoon, she met Emma in the hallway. "So," Vanessa said with a fake smile, "you think just because you've changed your clothes, you're better now?" Emma ignored her and tried to walk away, but Vanessa pushed her shoulder. Ryan came just in time and stepped between them. "Vanessa, stop," he said firmly. You're embarrassing yourself. Vanessa folded her arms. You used to like girls like me. What happened, Ryan? He looked straight at her and said, I grew up. Vanessa's face turned red with anger. She stormed off, humiliated. Emma looked at Ryan, speechless. No one had ever defended her like that before. Over time, Ryan and Emma grew closer. They studied together, walked around campus, and even volunteered at the school library. Ryan helped her with presentations, and Emma helped him with his writing. Everyone in school began to see them as the perfect match. The nerd and the reformed bad boy. But then something unexpected happened. One day, Ryan's father called him and said, Pack your things. We're moving to another country. I've gotten a big business deal and I want you to continue your studies abroad. Ryan froze. He didn't want to leave. Not now. Not when things were finally right between him and Emma. He met Emma that evening at their favorite park bench near the library. She was reading a book when he arrived. I have bad news, he said quietly. Emma closed her book and looked up. What's wrong? My dad wants to move us abroad. He says I have to transfer schools. Emma's heart sank. You're leaving? I don't want to, Ryan said quickly. I'll talk to him. Maybe I can stay. But they both knew it wouldn't be that easy. The next few days were hard. Ryan tried to convince his father, but his dad was strict. You've wasted too much time here, he said. You're finally serious about your life, and this new school will help you more. Ryan didn't know what to do. He called Emma that night. If I go, will you wait for me? He asked softly. Emma stayed quiet for a while. I don't want to lose you, Ryan, she said, her voice trembling. But I'll wait. I promise. They both cried that night. A week later, Ryan traveled abroad with his father. Emma returned to her studies, trying to focus, but she missed him deeply. They talked every day through messages and video calls, but it wasn't the same. Months passed. Emma graduated top of her class. Her parents were back together fully, and their home was peaceful again. Her grandmother was proud and healthy. Then one morning, while Emma was in the library, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Hey, nerd. Still reading, huh? She turned around. It was Ryan. He was standing there with flowers in his hand, smiling widely. Ryan, she screamed, running to hug him. I told my dad I couldn't stay there anymore, he said, laughing. I wanted to come back to where my heart really is. Emma laughed and cried at the same time. They walked outside, holding hands. Everyone on campus watched as the couple everyone once doubted finally reunited. But the story didn't end there. When Ryan returned, he and Emma decided to start a project together. A reading and mentoring club for students who were struggling in school. Ryan handled the leadership side, and Emma helped with academics. They became a team, not just in love but in purpose. Soon, the school gave them an award for their impact. Ryan gave a short speech and said, Once, I thought being cool was everything. But I learned that true strength comes from being kind, focused, and real. He looked at Emma and smiled. She taught me that. The crowd clapped and cheered. Later that night, Ryan and Emma sat under a tree on campus. They talked about their dreams, opening a school one day, helping students who felt alone, and building a better future. I'm glad I met you, Emma said softly. Ryan smiled. You didn't just steal my heart, Emma. You changed it. Emma smiled back. And you helped me find mine. They held hands, watching the stars above. The nerd and the bad boy. Two broken souls who found healing in each other. And this time, it wasn't just a school romance. It was something real. Something that would last. 5 years passed. The college days were over. The parties, the exams, the teasing, and the heartbreaks were now only memories. Emma had become a teacher. Not just any teacher. She was one of the most loved lecturers in her department. Her students called her Miss E. She always had time to listen to them, especially the quiet ones, the lonely ones, students who reminded her of her younger self. Ryan, on the other hand, became a software engineer and started his own company. He hired young people, trained them, and even gave scholarships to brilliant students from poor homes. They both stayed in the same city and never lost touch. Their love had only grown stronger. Every weekend, they met at their favorite spot, under the same tree where they used to talk back in college. Sometimes they would laugh about how far they had come. "Can you believe you once called me a jerk?" Ryan would tease. Emma would laugh and say, "Well, you were one." Then they would both burst into laughter. One Saturday afternoon, Ryan showed up at the park looking nervous. He had his hands behind his back. Emma noticed. "What's wrong?" she asked. Ryan smiled slowly. "Nothing's wrong. I just have something to say." He took her hands and knelt down. "Emma Thompson," he said, looking into her eyes. "You turned my world upside down. You made me better. You helped me believe in love again. Will you marry me?" Emma gasped. She covered her mouth in surprise as tears filled her eyes. "Yes, Ryan. 1,000,000 times, yes." People around them started clapping and cheering. Ryan stood up, hugged her, and whispered, "You're my forever." Their wedding was simple but beautiful. Emma wore a white dress that sparkled under the sun. Ryan wore a black suit and couldn't stop smiling. Her grandmother was there, sitting proudly in the front row. Her parents sat beside each other, holding hands. Ryan's father, who once was too strict and proud, walked up to the stage and said, "I've watched my son change, and I know it's because of you, Emma. Thank you for bringing out the best in him." It was a perfect day. After the wedding, Emma and Ryan started a foundation together. They called it the Rising Minds Project. It was built for students who didn't have support, kids who were bullied, lonely, or struggling with school. They built libraries, gave scholarships, and even started free weekend lessons. Emma handled the educational programs, while Ryan managed the business side. They became a team that inspired thousands of students. Reporters wrote stories about them. TV stations invited them for interviews. They didn't boast. They just kept working and helping. Years later, they had a daughter. Her name was Lily. She had Emma's smile and Ryan's eyes. Lily loved reading books, just like her mom. And she was brave and curious, just like her dad. One day, Emma found Ryan reading to Lily at night. He was telling her a story. The story of the nerd who stole the bad boy's heart.